Welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the importance of developing a support system around you as you develop your recovery program. So basically, the mantra is there are no lone rangers in recovery. There is no way you can figure it out yourself, or you're smart enough or you're close enough with God that you're going to get through recovery without support of other people. And so what you're doing is trying to develop a group, a small number of people that can provide the support that you need as you do recovery, and basically be friends all along the journey and to help you combat isolation and loneliness. Many times men in particular are lonely. They don't have deep friendships or deep connections. And so that's one thing that in recovery, it needs to change. You need to be able to develop a group of friends and support system around you to help you make progress in recovery. What this does is it gives God a channel to speak through those people in your group into your life. God speaks through His Word, God speaks through prayer, but in my experience, the strongest way that God speaks into my life is through other people, and in particular through other people in recovery. And also, of course, you have people to call when you're in crisis, when you're triggered. What that does is it shows humility, basically that you're able to reach out to others when you need help and ask for help. That shows that's humble to do that, and God, as it says in 1 Peter, supports the humble. So it's very good to be humble and ask for help when you need it. And this group provides that resource that you'll need in those moments. And then, of course, you can return the favor, reciprocate, and be of service to them when they're in crisis or they're triggered and need support as well. For most men in particular, maybe not so much women, but men, will be very uncomfortable for them to do. The thought of developing deep relationships and talking to people 3 or 4 times a week sounds weird to many men in particular, but that's what needs to happen. You need to try to push through that discomfort and really be proactive, be intentional, be deliberate about developing relationships with other men, and for women with other women. Now, one of the things that's important as you do that is you want to build those connections with people who are dealing with the same struggle. In my case, it's sex addiction, love addiction, so my core group of support that I have are other men that are dealing with the same or similar issues. And that way they get it, they understand what I'm talking to them about. I don't need to educate them at all. They're on the same path. I don't have to worry about being judged or criticized or any sort of flippant responses from them because they know what I'm dealing with because they're dealing with it as well. Another thing that is important is looking for people who are maybe further down the recovery road than you are, and they have something in their life that you want, which is, of course, first of all, sobriety, but then also look at their relationships, how deep those relationships are, their family, their marriage, how they talk about those things, and you want to see characteristics in those relationships that you want to have in your own relationships. And really what happens over time is those people in your recovery support network become friends. And within the context of that friendship, they encourage you, they support you, they're there for you. And yes, they also hold you accountable, again, within a context of a friendship. So if it's just accountability, which I've heard many times, and I've myself participated in accountability relationships, but they don't last. If it's only focused exclusively on accountability, that's hard to sustain over time because who wants to get together with somebody who all you do is hold each other accountable, and there's no friendship, there's no brotherhood around that relationship. It's just nothing more than holding each other accountable. So really think of it in terms of developing long-term, deep friendships with other men and other women as you work your program. So where do you find this network? 12-step recovery within the meetings that you attend and other groups that you attend, maybe a therapist-led recovery group, is where you find potential connections that you can try to develop those relationships with. And so what usually happens is you'll be in a meeting or in a group and you'll hear somebody share something that really resonates with you, resonates with where you are. And so what you need to do in those moments is ask for their phone number. Ask them if it's okay if you can call them. And then as you make those first few calls, try to set up a routine. This is not a one and done kind of thing. You need to ask them if it's okay if you call them 3 or 4 times a week and try to determine, hey, when's the best time for you? In the morning, in the evenings, at lunchtime? So then you can start developing that routine with them and get to know them better, build that chemistry, build that relationship. Another place, of course, within the same context of 12-step recovery is a sponsor. And a sponsor is somebody who's worked through the 12 steps and is ready to sponsor someone. And again, you look for somebody who, when they share that, what they share resonates with you, resonates with where you are in your story. And so then you can ask them to sponsor you. And of course, your sponsor is somebody, even after you go through the 12 steps, that you will continue to maintain a strong relationship with for years, for many years to come. Also, your therapist is someone, I've had a lot of therapists over the years, and while they're my therapist, they're part of my group. They're somebody that I, of course, talk to and share with and get support from. It's a little bit different because I'm paying them, but I've developed some really, really close relationships with my therapist over the years. And some of them are even in recovery, so I see them sometimes in the meetings or in the retreats. Another place you can find support is in a small group at church, or maybe some pastors at church. Again, the important thing is that they are in recovery themselves, or that they really understand what you're doing and what recovery is. Again, so they can relate to where you are, and they don't judge you or criticize you or give you flippant answers. When you're struggling or you need support or have a question. Think of these as friends, people that over time are going to be your friends. In my case, probably my best 10 friends that I have are all men that I've gotten to know over the last 15 years in recovery. These are guys that I call, I hang out with, I get a coffee with, talk to, some of them every day, some of them 2 or 3 times a week, others once a week. See them at meetings, and we know each other very well. And of course, we're all in recovery, but I consider them, and I think they would consider me, to be very good friends. One kind of recent development with COVID is, used to be before COVID, everything was in person. And they had phone meetings, but those were on a national level. So it could be people from all over the country or even internationally. But now there's a much, much bigger virtual or phone presence in meetings. And so you're able to get to know men in other cities, and men or women in other cities. And this is especially helpful for people who may live in a small town or a medium-sized town where it's hard, they don't have recovery meetings. It's harder to meet people. You're able to do that virtually. And you can, if you work at it, develop a good relationship over the phone and on Zoom and really get to know them and vice versa. So take advantage of that as well. And so again, can't do recovery alone. You really need a group and folks that can support you as you work on your recovery. And so it's something that you need to be intentional about and really relentless about as you work on developing your program in recovery. Thank you.